Welcome to the Power Couples Rock podcast, where our mission is to build a collective community of marriages, where we encourage, inspire, and support one another in order to have masterful marriages. We're Carlos, Katherine, Chris, and Sonya. Please check us out, powercouplesrock.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. We believe that one of the most amazing legacies we can leave in life is a great marriage. So we hope you'll listen, learn, and love the conversation. Let's power up. All right. Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to the Power Couples Rock podcast. I am Chris, and I am here with my beautiful wife, Sonya, and we are also honored to share this podcast with two of my most favorite people in the universe. Let me just put that out there.
They rock.
That's right. Carlos and Katherine Green. Let me hear it from you guys. What's up?
Ooh. I just had to take that deep sigh right there. There's a lot that's
You said in
on.
the universe.
Well, you know, hey,
Loving it.
it's the first podcast, Carlos. I have to come big.
Yeah.
You know, people are
I
like,
love
man,
it.
they're
Go
talking
big
about
or
the
go
universe.
home. I love it.
Love it.
Go big or go home. But
favorite
don't go
couple
home
here.
yet. Don't go home
Don't
yet.
go home.
You may be listening to this podcast at home. It may be in your car. It may be at work. It may be anywhere. But first and foremost, we just want to thank you for tuning in, pressing play. And we just ask you just give us some time to kind of, maybe on this intro podcast, we can talk a little bit about ourselves so you know where we're coming from, where our hearts are at for people, for marriages, and just to, put that out there and to love on you that are listening. We're going to talk about some stuff on these podcasts that's real.
Yes.
And marriages and family and relationships and everything that makes this world go around sometimes is not always rainbows and flowers and happy things. So we're going to talk about some tough stuff too. And because we believe that those challenges, if you can get through those challenges and get through to the other side, you become stronger as a person. And there's really no other way we feel to be than to surround yourself with people that are of like mind and hearts, like the four of us are. So I think what I'd love to be able to do is if we could just kind of go around here, the four of us, and talk about ourselves and maybe how we met.
Yeah.
Carlos, you want to start us off?
Thanks, Chris. Chris is my brother. Okay. So thank you. So my beautiful wife here, Katherine, and we've been married for 27 years, 27 plus years.
27 plus years. Married. Known him. Well, we dated for 6 years.
Correct.
Before that. So 6 plus 27 is how many? How much is that?
We're doing math already.
32. A long
33.
time.
33 years.
33 years. Yes.
Yes. So 33 years and 2 sons later, we're still together and very happy. So let me give you the quick and dirty on how we met.
Don't give us the dirty.
Not
It's
the
the
dirty.
first podcast.
First
We'll get to
podcast.
the dirty
The
one
quick.
later. Okay.
The quick. So we met while we were in college. I was a junior. She was a freshman. Get it? She's a freshman. So she's looking fresh.
Yes.
Right.
I was new to campus. I
New
didn't
to
know
campus.
about that.
So one of my ladies that I grew up with in my hometown majored in theater. And so she asked me if I would play the husband role in her theater project. And then she had asked Katherine if Katherine would play the wife in the theater project,
Wow.
her senior project.
She was a seer.
She
knew.
was. She knew it, right? And the play was A Raisin in the Sun.
Yes.
And so I had walked in to the Dramatic Arts building, and I saw Katherine there, and I was like,
Did you know
Oh,
she
is
was
it?
the wife?
no.
Okay.
This
no
was my
idea.
first time meeting her.
Okay.
And I do have to be honest, I was dating somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing was, she is absolutely gorgeous, but I'm dating somebody. So I'm just going to be her friend until I break up with the son.
Like today.
I was
Right?
strictly there for business.
She was.
I am helping someone
was.
woo's working on their senior project to help them get an A. So I was going to play my
Well, she
wife
did.
role to the T.
And Katherine is majoring in theater. I'm not.
Okay.
But she just knew me, and I was like, sure, I'll put myself into it. So we spent a lot of time together over rehearsals and the senior project. And even after that senior project, she had one more project to do, and she asked us to continue to play that role for the senior project. So 6 years later, we get married, and 27 years later, we're here.
You're still playing the role.
We're still playing the role
And-
of husband and wife.
And every day of your marriage has just been bliss.
That is not true. But
That's why we're going to be talking.
That's
about
it.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah. I think one of the biggest, if I can open up and be a little bit more transparent too, though, we did date for 6 years, but it was a little, we were off and on because, again, we're in college, first couple of years out of college, and you see everything that's kind of out there. So I really had some challenges with commitment. Just from our prior or extended family, had some challenges with commitment. So I could never truly give my heart to Katherine just because of my paradigm.
Right.
Mhm.
And then we actually ended up getting married. Well, before we got married, we actually got pregnant
Yes.
and had our first child. Pregnant, married, first child. So it really put me in the place of husband and father all at the same time.
Wow.
And we came with some people in our family, particularly my family, that wasn't trusting that our relationship would work.
Right. A lot of negative naysayers because of me being pregnant before we got married is just he's marrying her because she's pregnant.
Right.
And so therefore those types of marriages won't last. But I knew within my heart that I loved him anyway. And I was not afraid of commitment because my parents, and still today they're married, it's over 50 years. But I had a lot of stability in my family.
Yeah.
We also actually spent a lot of time together. So every Friday night until I got in high school, because I wanted to go out with my high school buddies. But we would go fish fry would be some places we would go to go out. If we didn't fry it at home, we would go out. It was our day to go out. So I did things with my family. So stability and commitment was not something that I was afraid of. And even just to mention that when we dated, before we made a commitment to each other, it was more like I said, I cannot date two people at the same time. I just didn't believe in that kind of hurting someone's heart like that. And so I thought that was just sneaky. Yeah, I knew a lot of people that did it, but it was sneaky. And so I ended up breaking it off with my boyfriend. And
Who I knew.
Yeah, you knew. I didn't even know he knew him. But
We knew each other
Oh, okay.
So anyway,
Wow.
through
yeah,
church.
I know through church.
Through church, I knew him.
Yeah, so in a whole different city.
And he's a great guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he is a great guy.
He is. But I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right.
Yep.
And so we made the commitment. And so, yeah, the relationship was off and on for those 6 years. But it was a lot of learning lesson. But when we made the commitment to be married, we were going to go, no matter who doubted us, no matter we said we are going to make our marriage work. And whatever we need to do, whether that's attend classes, get counseling, whatever that is, we're going to make it work.
So, and I know this was meant to do intros here, but this has got me thinking. You know, a lot of people have that paradigm in their life, where there's just nothing but people telling them they can't do it. Like, well, this is your mother and father did this, your grandfather, your brothers, your sisters, like this marriage is never going to last, giving you sort of negative, and you guys rose above that.
Yeah.
And to this day, your love is stronger and your marriage is stronger than ever.
Yes.
I know how you got to this point since I've known you. But in that moment when you guys decided you were going to get married, Katherine was pregnant, and you've got family around you just telling you, and everything, and the paradigm and everything that was, around this is saying that this is just going to fail. What do you think got you through that and to that point where you guys said, you know what? We're still going to do this, and we feel right about this. What do you think kind of brought you through that, even at that moment, or even now looking back?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's a couple of things. One is my heart changed.
Mm.
It really changed to help me understand my responsibility as a husband.
Mm.
And that was the first thing, is how do I truly care for this woman and the gift that I've been given through her?
Mm.
How do I make her even better because she married me?
Mm.
And so I will always think, is she better off because she married me? And that's always been the standard for me.
Mm.
So when my heart changed and I really pressed into how do I learn to be the best husband I can be, then that led me to community and counseling and investment into my marriage.
Mm.
And I love doing other things, but the most important relationship to me in my life that's been here for the past 30 years has been my marriage. Above my sons, above the church that we attend, above the friends that we have, this has been the most important relationship for me.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, for me, one of the things is once I learned how to love him, like through God's eyes, and not like just this temporary type of love. I needed to understand what that was, and it was my faith that got me through understanding that. Because I said, if he's the only one that has it perfect to me, the Word of God showing what is love and how he gave love unconditionally, and so I had to learn it from that perspective. And that is what really, to me, took our relationship to another level. Because, see, I couldn't blame anybody. I had to go to God. And I didn't want to do any blaming kind of love or, just shaky kind of love. I wanted to really know what true love was all about. So I learned to love him. That faith was the biggest thing for me.
That's great.
That is awesome.
So enough about us. Let us hear about you.
Well, we have you beat in the dating arena.
Whoa.
Oh, we do?
Let me just say,
Go.
it was 9.5 years
Whoa.
that we dated.
Do we get like a gold medal for winning the length of time dating before getting married?
I think you need a medal. Yep, I think you need a medal.
You
need
gotta choke me
recognition.
with it, I think. She's about to choke me with it.
But we've been married for 20 years.
20 years.
Next year. 2019, it will be 20 years.
Congratulations.
So that means that we've known each other for about 30.
30 years.
Wow.
Just about
So
30
you guys
years.
are only 3 years ahead of
I
us.
know.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy.
That's funny. Quickly before it just brought to my mind, there was a little poem that I used to do, and it's one of the lines in there. This woman says to St. Peter, she's at the gate, and she says, the guy, St. Peter asked her, "How long you been married to that woman?" And then the man standing, he go, "Ooh, 30 years." And he said, 30 years with that woman there? No wonder the man hasn't any hair. So I think we're getting to that over the 30 years. And Carlos, he doesn't have much
I don't
hair.
have hair. I do not have hair.
Chris, you
ahead,
still
Chris.
have your hair.
Yes, he
Yeah,
does.
so far.
We need
yeah.
to find the ingredients.
Chris has
today.
good hair.
He does have good hair.
I mean, woo,
He
I'm on
does.
his
You
hair.
never
Share
know.
your story, Chris and Sonya. I want to hear about it.
Well, yeah. So I moved to Nashville to go to school at Belmont, where our son Max will be going next fall, and I had questionable experiences living in the Detroit area, and I went 1 year to college there, and had decided that I wasn't going to study computer science anymore. And I had a real passion for playing and being around music. So I moved to Nashville to attend Belmont University, which was focused on music business, and met this wonderful young woman at the time that wasn't Sonya, and was dating her. What? I mean, I'm being real here.
Yeah,
Keeping it real.
And was dating her, and it was nice. And I actually met Sonya, and I remember meeting her for the first time through her roommate on campus. And the first thing that I remember from her was her beautiful smile.
No, it was the hair.
It really was the smile. It really was the smile. But I
Both
look
of you
back
guys
at pictures,
have
and
beautiful
wow, yeah, there was lots of hair from both of us, for sure. Hair is definitely a theme so far here. So in any event, things were not going great with the young lady that I was dating at the time, and I got a call from a mutual friend of Sonya and he called me and he said, "Hey, dude, there's this freshman, and she is hot and bothered for you." I mean, and I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, Sonya you've met her before. It's Melody's roommate." And of course, I'm thinking to myself, "Yeah, okay, yeah, I know her. Yeah, she's cute." And at the time, the young lady that I was dating and I were just kind of on the outs already. And he said, "Hey, we're going to Perkins." And Perkins was the place near Belmont and right there by Vandy, where all the kids would go and hang out and study. It was 24 hours, and it was kind of a hangout for students. And he said, "We're all going down to Perkins. You should come." And so I thought about it for a little bit, and I was like, "All right, yeah, let's do this." So, put on a best looking like cool outfit or whatever.
His pastel plaid.
So I go down there and I see them sitting at a booth. And on one side is our mutual friend, and sitting next to him is Sonya. And then on the other side of the booth is Sonya's roommate at the time, and then the spot for me. So I was like, okay. So I got myself in there and I sat down. It was a little awkward, of course, because now like the cat's out of the bag. This girl's she really likes me, right? But I'm trying to play it cool.
Always
really
played
hot.
it cool.
I'm trying to play cool, right?
Mr. Cool.
And so we're sitting down and we're just kind of making small talk. I don't know. Maybe we ordered pancakes. Who knows?
Mammoth muffins.
And all of a sudden, I feel her foot rubbing up and down on my leg. And I'm like, of course, my first initial reaction is I looked across the table and there she was, just smiling away at me, like big old smile. And I'm like, well, all right. This is going really well for me. This is going really well. But at the same time, she's like rubbing it and for a long time. And I'm at this point, I'm just like, okay, where is this going? And I kind of leaned back a little bit from the table and I looked down underneath the table and I saw Scott's foot, our mutual friend, rubbing my leg. And me being the half embarrassed, cool trying to be person, I said, Scott, would you please stop rubbing my leg? And Scott said, I've been rubbing it for 10 minutes. When were you going to tell? When? So anyway, that's kind of our first little story. And then after that, I think I asked you out shortly thereafter, and we went and saw, I remember our first movie was Look Who's Talking.
Look Who's Talking.
So there's this sort of aging myself for those that are listening.
Is that the baby movie?
The baby movie.
The baby talking, John Travolta, I think was in it.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Sonya was a freshman. What year were you in college?
I was a sophomore.
Sophomore.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had transferred from a school in Michigan. So,
But it was both of our first years there.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we both came to Belmont at the same time.
Cool.
Yeah, and then we dated for 9.5 years, and that last year, Sonya found someone else.
It wasn't the last year.
Well, 8 years into it, she found someone else, and of course, I was devastated. And I had taken her for granted. I was in bands. We were doing little tours and thought I was just, going to be some, musician that was, and really kind of took her for granted for a long period of time. Had things I prioritized more than her. And she found someone who gave her the attention that she wanted and went there. But I continued to pursue her as a friend because I really did miss her friendship more than anything. And I think it took us about a year off before we...
About 6 months.
It was longer than that. Maybe it just felt longer, but we eventually started seeing each other as friends and hanging out. But I think that lasted for maybe a couple of months before we were actually officially back together. And I remember, I'll never forget the first time we agreed that we would get back, quote unquote, get back together. And she said, I'm not getting back together to date for another 9 years.
Wow.
And
your ground.
we
I
were
was over
engaged. We were engaged the next March and married that August. So didn't take us long. I mean, she's giving me a look.
She's
If you want to
thinking.
dispute the
She's thinking.
timeline, it has been a few years.
she's trying to make sure.
Was it March?
But we definitely got engaged in March and married in
It was
August.
6 months later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That's
yeah.
fine.
You put the pressure on and said, look here.
I was done. done, and done waiting. But here we are, 2 kids later, 2 boys, and, hanging in there.
You all
Awesome.
ask us the question about how did we stay together? 20 years for you all.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about keeping you all together? What did you all do?
I think for me, it's more about the fact that I always understood that when I got married, I was married and that you stayed married. My mom and dad will celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary this coming April. So I had good examples. So I just think that my faith and knowing that I guess divorce was just never an option. I never looked or even considered the word divorce. And as long as we've been married, the word divorce has never been mentioned. So I think there's something just secure in knowing that I think we both feel the same way, that we're married and we're in this and things haven't always been great and there's been tough times and there's been great times, but you're in it and you just stay in it and try to figure out how to make the best and improve and get better.
Yes.
So, and that's what you guys are bringing to me. I'll just say that I probably for Chris too, but it's just so nice to know that there is a way to go about doing this and that it can always get better and that it can always improve. You just have to work at it. So I'm on a trip of knowledge, I think, is my thing, of trying to learn how to make this the best it can be.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah. And I think you touched on it, and it's a great sort of segue into this podcast, and that is, we want to be real with people, and we realize that there is a lot of, there's a lot of great positive things that you can take out of this, and we certainly want to keep this positive because we have a lot to celebrate, I think, the four of us, and where we're at. But we also know that we had to go through a lot of hardships as husbands, as wives, as mothers, as fathers. And a lot of people, they just need to know that there's other people out there that are kind of going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk a lot about iron sharpening iron and how, maybe not the way we handled something is going to exactly work for every single person out there. We don't have the magic ingredients to solve everything. We're not professional psychiatrists. We're not looking to do anything spectacular in terms of making a massive career out of this. What we really have is a heart for the relationships of people, and what we've done and what we've gone through is worth sharing, because we know that's proven to be successful for us, for you guys, with our community, and just want to get it out there and get conversations going and get people out there talking to us, asking questions, because I think at some point we'd love to be able to start reading questions on this podcast from everyone. So
yes.
So we were talking about earlier, how did we meet? How did the Greens and the Stones meet? And that was interesting because that's been some years ago. But we got introduced through some mutual friends of ours who are still great friends of ours now. But they were celebrating a birthday, and you guys got invited. We got invited, and we got connected, started small group together, doing life together. Even outside of the church, we would do a lot of life together.
Family together.
Family
the rest
together.
Is history. Now we're on a podcast.
Right.
We connected at the hip.
And Carlos, you should tell about the connection we have outside of this group in
Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's crazy. So your parents actually lived down the street from my aunt and my grandparents. And for years, I would go visit all the time, not knowing that you were right down the street in Shelbyville. Six houses down in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
6 houses.
Wow.
And that you all are in Nashville at Belmont University. We're living in Nashville at the same time you guys are going to school. Never knew.
Right.
Until we get to Atlanta, Georgia.
Right. And I worked on Music Row.
Sure did.
With Warner
So did
Alliance.
I. Same time.
Same time.
Same time.
Same time.
And our paths never crossed. I said
Never.
Atlanta. Atlanta. That's my southern drawl coming out. But not until we get to Atlanta, Georgia,
Right.
does our paths cross and connect.
It's awesome.
Isn't it amazing?
It's amazing. It's a small world.
And I know you get this all the time, but you talked about us meeting for the first time. And Carlos has this thing about him. When you meet him for the first time, you felt like you've either always known him or you have met him before. And you just
true.
need to remember what his name is. Yeah, I know this guy, right? And I think some of it is the way, the type of person you are. You're very, endearing, but also like, who is this guy? He's giving me a hug. I don't know him. Okay, all right.
Very personable.
He gives the best hugs.
Yeah, and so, so in a way, it almost felt like we were always meant to be great friends.
I agree. I completely agree.
And that story kind of ties in. It was like we were right down the street. We were the same. There's connections there. There's something. I don't know, something in the water,
like
maybe, or I don't
6
know.
degrees of separation.
There you go.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Never knew. Never knew. Awesome.
So then, why this podcast?
Why this podcast? Because you told me I had to. No.
And Chris told me I had to.
And he made me.
No, I think we haven't talked enough about power couples rock, which is something that you two, Carlos and Catherine, brought out, initiated, and really have a great thing going. And it's something that we noticed and felt like we needed to be a part of it in some way, and to felt drawn to try and whatever we could do, if it was just, I don't know, anything, bring you guys coffee, whatever we could do. And so the more I was thinking about it, I think we initially talked about putting together some music around it. And that just sort of gravitated into a conversation about a podcast, and we sort of brainstorming. And so why, that's the what, but I think why is to really just further what Power Couples Rock's mission is, and really to, supplement that, and really to be a companion to further what you guys are doing.
Awesome.
Sonya, your why?
Because I had to.
I use that.
No, I think, are you referring to what I want to get out of this?
Or what you want our audience to get out of?
I kind of just want everyone out there who's listening or who is married or thinking about marriage to understand that everything's not always great, and that we all go through the same hardships. We all go through the same joys, difficulties, but in the end, we're real people, just like you guys are. And if there's anything that we could provide in order to help you grow, help your family, help you parenting, whatever the issue may be, then we wanted to provide that and to help get that across. So we want to keep it real. Just keep it real.
I'd love to hear from my beautiful wife.
Oh, because you are making me do it.
Hey.
Now you guys are getting to know what Carlos does to us all the time. The biggest thing that I would love for the audience and to take away is, number one, is that we're being real. We're opening our hearts, just so that you can hear not just our struggles, but the real day-to-day of things that we deal with, whether that's highs and lows. And we want to have a platform to be able to do that. And I think a lot of people need to hear people's heart, like where they really are and the things that they're going through. So authenticity is important to me. And so nothing is off limits here. So that's what I want an artist to take away.
And then I'll just speak and turn it back over to Chris to close us out. But for me, it was important that, yes, we have Power Couples Rock, but if you look at the mission, it says that we want to build a collective community of couples that we can do life with by implementing purposeful pathways to build masterful marriages. And it was important that this podcast would actually have a community. So we've got two wonderful couples, I'm including us. We have two wonderful couples that have experiences that I believe are valuable and we can share, and people can relate to what we're going through. Like you guys said, through the valleys, but also at the mountaintops, and what that looks like and how we actually got through them. And I love the perspectives that each one of you all are bringing to this podcast. I think it's going to be rich, valuable information that everyone can grow from.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So you touched on the podcast community, and we're going to have a number of podcasts that are going to be using the word community. And I'd just like to encourage everyone who's listening to press play on that next podcast and the one after it. Hopefully you're encouraged by it, and hopefully you're able to join the podcast community. And we're not sponsored by anyone. We're not looking for handouts. What we're looking to do is truly what you just heard, and to join that podcast community, join our social community, and that's the easiest way to do it. And Power Couples Rock is on every social network you can imagine, although there's probably 10 social networks that just launched while we were talking, but the big ones, you know them, Power Couples Rock on Facebook, Power Couples Rock on Twitter. There is a YouTube channel for Power Couples Rock. There is an Instagram for Power Couples Rock. I'm sure there's going to be Facebook. I did say Facebook.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But don't forget Facebook. Because they're on Facebook.
Facebook, YouTube. Okay. You mentioned
But that's one of the best ways to get involved in the podcast community. We want to hear from you. And if you're not comfortable blasting it out on the main page, private message is fine. We'd love to be able to maybe even read some questions if you're comfortable with that, and maybe not even mentioning some people's names. We don't have to do that, but I think it's all about getting that feedback, getting that out, iron sharpening iron, and really developing that social community for power couples.
Power Couples Rock.
That's right.
Let's get powered up.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Power Couples Rock podcast. We hope that you've been encouraged, inspired, and supported. Please listen and subscribe to our other PowerPods, as we are confident that they will strengthen your marriage. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. It's there where we can extend these discussions together, take these conversations and your marriage to the next level. Enjoy your day and power up.